right, great. Guys, it's a privilege for us, me and India, Audrey Lam, to have this opportunity.
She is Audrey Lam.
There you go. Standing here, to do communion today, for you guys. My beautiful, incredible wife.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys have heard, her amazing speech yesterday, on Saturday, on the incredible Women's Day. But today, she's actually going to share with you guys, something deep within her heart. This is about what the cross actually means for her, as a woman of God. So the scripture that she want me to share with you guys is in Hebrews chapter 6, verse 19. The scripture goes, Hebrews chapter 6, verse 19. The scripture goes, we have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters into the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. So with that, I'll give you my wonderful wife.
Amen. Wow, I know I'm supposed to be sharing communion, but I'm just so happy to be here. I feel like so many cool things are going on. Even watching Aaron Songley, where are you, Aaron? So incredible, bro, amazing. And then seeing two of my really great friends get engaged. I just feel so happy to be here with our family. As most of you know, we actually were both spiritually born in Sydney, although we now live in Hong Kong, China. And I love taking communion because it helps me to refocus and reflect, and most importantly, helps me to remember the why of Christianity, the why of God, and the purpose. Sometimes people come up here and they say, wow, I'm so excited to share what the cross means to me to inspire you. Some people may come up here having a tough week and really reflecting on God in their life. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm just really happy to be here to share about God in my life and how God is changing me in some really deep ways. And so I'm honored to share a piece of my heart with you this morning. I think all of us, no matter where you come from, can agree that life has some unexpected turns sometimes. Moments, circumstances that can leave us feeling a little bit out of control. And if you don't know me well, you can just ask my husband. I'm someone who really likes to be in control of everything all the time. Even since I was a little girl, even during Christmas time, I would always sneak around the house and find all the presents before Santa came and brought them under the tree. I'm like, Mom, Santa is not real when I was 5 years old. I love to be in control. But the negative thing about that is it causes me to have a lot of anxiety sometimes in my Christian life because God is in control and I'm not in control. And when God is in control, sometimes we end up in places we didn't think we're going to end up. And as I build a life completely different from what I had imagined in China with my husband, I feel like God, over the past 6 months, has really been showing me in my heart some pretty deep, ugly things that I don't think I would have been able to see had he not brought me all the way to China. And if you were at Women's Day yesterday, you heard me talk about what I love about God and that is that he cares about my heart. And what I'm learning is that he will take us on these adventures and reveal our deepest desires, strengths, and weaknesses so that we can become more godly, just as Manny was sharing in the beginning, so we can become more pure and more loving. And if you don't know, my husband and I were actually missionaries in Hong Kong, China, and the mission field is a wild place, let me tell you. It's so beautifully challenging. It's a high-pressure situation. And for those of you who have ever been in a high-pressure situation, you know that the best and the worst things come out of your heart when you're squeezed really tightly. And what's funny about being on the mission field is that we think we're going out there to help people, which we are, but oftentimes God leads us there so that he can save us from our own self. And that's really what's been happening to me in China. And it showed me, I've been talking about this a little bit this month, but it showed me that deep in my heart that the world had taught me to be very racist and very entitled and very unloving. And so I found myself at the beginning of this year incredibly unhappy and unloving because I realized that I had hatred toward my husband and his people simply because of who they were. And when you start to see things like that, it's a little bit scary. And it confused me because I always thought I was a really loving person. But then when you put yourself against God, you're like, wow, I'm actually really not that loving. But what's amazing is as I spent time over the past 6 months reflecting on the cross, on this hope, on this anchor, I began to realize that God brought me to this place so that I could deal with my heart and learn to love deeper than I've ever loved before. And when I think about the cross, a completely unimaginable, incomprehensible moment that tied me to God forever, I think about how much I get to learn and the love and the hope that I get to have simply because of the firmness and the anchor that God has in my life. And that is why I love this scripture, that even when I see scary things in my heart, I don't have to stay that way. I can change and I can grow. And that's why I love this scripture, that there is a hope in Jesus. There is an anchor that when the storms of life and the boat of God takes you somewhere you never thought you could be, you can always rise up and be strong and challenge yourself to change and grow and purify your heart. And as we do that, our whole life changes, which is incredible. And I think that God really took me on this amazing journey. And as soon as I really dealt with these deep things in my heart and saw the cross more clearly, he allowed me to get engaged and get married to a man from a different language, culture, nation, and love people deeper than I feel like I've ever loved before, and fall in love with China more than I ever even knew possible. I feel like I sometimes love China more than my husband loves China. And it really taught and it really taught me that the cross is for everybody in every place. And I can always look at the cross, and it teaches me to not be discouraged, to always have hope, and to always have that anchor in my soul firm and secure. Thank you so much.